Alright everybody, I got some exciting news. I've had tons of people asking me, commenting on my mapping video that I did, the Yaapu mapping, and wondering if, hey, can I use iNav, can I use a jumper receiver, can I use any other kind of telemetry to get this working? And the answer was no. You had to use Mavlink, you had to use something like a Pixhawk to get all this telemetry to work. But that's changed. The creator of these scripts, Alex, and who creates the Yaapu Telemetry, has now released a version where you can use any receiver that can send telemetry to your jumper or Horus radio and get GPS information. As long as you can get that link, you can now display all the mapping features, which is super, super cool. And I'm really excited to show you guys how to do that. It is pretty similar to the previous video I did, so if you've already done it, then this is going to seem familiar, and I have taken clips out of that video and put them in this video. So, some of it might be repetitive for some of you who are going to be repeating this process, but for those who are doing this for the first time, be sure to watch the whole video, step by step, every little thing you need to do, and it's going to be really helpful. The second thing I want to say before I get started with the instructions on how to set all this up is I have a link. I'll have all the links in the description for the things you need, but I also have a section in the description of the video that's like edits, and updates. If this video ever needs updating in any kind of way, or there's something that was a little different or changed, I will add that into the description of this video. So be sure to check the description, read through it before you get started, and it'll give you all the information you need to get started on this mapping feature. And I think a lot of you are going to be excited and be able to use this in all of your quads. For me, I'm using the Tyro 129 and using a jumper R1 receiver. And this is all new to me, honestly. I haven't done as much FPV. This is kind of going to be my long range quad, which, the jumper R1 won't give me too long a range, but it's just kind of like a starting point for me because it's cheap before I get into, any really long range type of equipment. And I just want to get it all working, set up, get GPS working, and then I'm probably going to be upgrading. So make sure to subscribe to follow along so you don't miss any videos, because I'm going to be coming out with more. And it's been a little while since I put out a video, but I'm going to try to do some more as the summer starts hitting. And jumper T16, you're going to need jumper T16. And so just to kind of preface this video and get started, you're going to need the telemetry working as far as getting the GPS sending telemetry to your T16 or Horus radio. And I'll flash a video, something up on the screen that shows what that kind of looks like. And from there, let's get started.
All right, let's go ahead and dive in. The first thing you want to do to get this set up is get a directory built. I obviously called mine Yaapu. I just put it in my documents and then Yaapu. You're going to want this because you're going to have a lot of different files, a lot of different programs you're going to be working with. So everything is just organized nice and neat in here. I have a lot in here because from my previous video, when I've already set up all the telemetry, I have some different versions and things that I've already downloaded. So you're not going to need all of this, but I will go over exactly what you do need. The next thing you're going to want to do is hop on over to a browser. And in here, we're going to navigate to this URL right here. Link will be in the description, but this is the Horus mapping widget, the new one that was just put out a couple weeks ago, to be able to put maps on the jumper T16 or Horus radio. Now let's just go through some of this right here. So offline GPS mapping widget for Horus and T16 radios. For basic functionality, it only needs and requires a GPS sensor. So that's what I talked about at the very beginning. Really, to get this working, all you need is a GPS sensor. However, you can add more, which is awesome. So it supports Autopilot, iNav, Crossfire, and whatever flight controller or firmware that can send GPS info to OpenTX. That's what's so cool about this. It's just sending the telemetry to OpenTX, and then it's reading from those values inside of OpenTX. So up to 10 user-selected sensor values can be displayed on the screen. Horizontally, so we have all of these, got altitude, speed, distance, then you have battery voltage and all that kind of stuff, current. So this can do more than just maps, all right? And if you are advantageous enough to go ahead and try all this out, that's awesome. In this video specifically, I'm going to go over how to get the maps working. And once you get the maps working, the rest of the telemetry is pretty straightforward, and you can do that. And I might have a video coming out as far as how to do that in the future. But as for right now, I'm just going to focus on the maps. But to do that, you are also going to need this URL right here. And this is the original Yaapu FreeSky telemetry script. And actually in here, he is linked the video for that. And I'll also have my other video linked in the description. But in here is going to be all the setup requirements that you need. So these two URLs is going to give you everything you need. Again, links in the description. So go ahead and go into this link, which is the setup guide for all the mapping features. And you're going to want to download these 3 links. The Gmap catcher, which is what you need right here, which I've downloaded. And the Gmap catcher is actually the mapping program that you use to download all the tiles and stuff. So you need that. Imagine Magic, which is going to, I'm going to scroll down all the way down to Windows binary releases for most of you, obviously, and then you're just going to download the zip file so you can download. I am going to be using version 7.0.9, whereas the latest release is 7.0.10. Shouldn't make much of a difference. I just still have this. So anyway, you want to download it like I did here, and then unzip it. And then you have all of the Imagine Magic stuff you need. So that's the next link. And then from there, you need this maps folder with the template. So I downloaded this. This is the proprietary stuff. It has this MK tiles command. This is what's going to actually make the mapping tiles. So when you download it, it's this horse widget maps. So you can extract it, and you can go in here. And you have the MK tiles. That program is what we're going to use to resize all the tiles. And anyway, so those are kind of like the prerequisites as far as what you need to get this going. And that was kind of quick. I went through it pretty fast, but it'll all make sense as we continue to go. So download those, extract them, put them in a directory. That's what you're going to need to start. All right, and of course, the last thing we are going to need is the actual scripts themselves, the new Yaapu mapping scripts. So the best way to do this is go ahead and clone or download, and you just download that zip. You can also go to releases, and he has a release here. It is best if you just stay right here and do this clone download. And if you do it that way, you will make sure that you get all of the latest upgrades and updates that has been pushed to get, because sometimes the release might be just a little bit behind. And once you open that up, you have this horse mapping widget master. And what I did is I went ahead and put it in here. And obviously I already have it all downloaded and stuff like that, but mine is selected and put into beta flight maps. And here I have all the different accessories I need and files to put onto my Jumper T16. All right, it's time. Let's go ahead and plug in your Jumper T16. And go ahead and click USB storage. And you should have it connect to your computer. And it will be popping up here in just a second. There it is. Okay. So you're going to want to go to Jumper T16, obviously. And then go ahead and open up another file explorer and go into wherever you have your downloaded all your documents that you need. So inside here, I have Betaflight Maps. That's what I called the directory where I put the mapping widgets and scripts and stuff, but you probably called it something different. I just did that so I can keep everything organized. So in here, so once you've extracted the horse mapping widget -mapping -widget 1.0, you're going to go into it, and this is the directory that we're going to be working in here. Go to Horus, SD, and scripts. You have 2 directories that really you need to worry about, the widgets and the scripts. Go into scripts, And then on your jumper T16, you're going to also want to go into scripts. And you just simply copy over the Yaapu directory. Once that's copied over, and it does take a little bit of time, it's a big directory, go ahead and go into this tools directory, and you're going to want to copy over this Yaapu maps.lua. And that you're going to put in the tools directory on your jumper T16. Just go ahead and copy that over. Okay, so now once that's copied over, you're going to go ahead and copy over the widgets directory. So go into widgets on both the jumper T16 and onto the directory that we're copying from, and you have this Yaapu maps. Copy that over, and just like that, your jumper T16 is ready. So go ahead and disconnect it. And then we'll get started with the next part.
All right, so the next process is to set up the screen. So what we're going to do is power on our radio.
Welcome to OpenTX. Throttle warning.
And from here, all we need to do is set up a new telemetry page. So what you can do is hold down Telem, and then page over. You're going to do an add, so you have a second page now. And then from here, scroll down, and you're going to uncheck both of these, and then click Set Up Widgets. So basically what's happening is you just created a blank screen. And what you do is once you click Set Up Widgets, you can click again, and you can scroll over to what widget you want. So we're just going to keep scrolling to the very end where you will see this Yaapu Maps. This pops up, and you can click, and you return out of there. And now, when you page over to your next screen, you have the Yaapu Maps telemetry page. You can see it says Yaapu Mapping Widget 1.0, so that's the one we're working with. And the next process here, and the next step, is to get the maps actually on here. Now, the process for doing this is the same exact process as I had done previously in my previous video with the previous script. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some clips out of that video and put them in here. And for those of you who already know how to do this, this can be a refresher, or if you know what you're doing, then go ahead and put those sat tiles in the correct directory and then it'll all work, right? So here we go. Let's see how we actually get this working.
We're going to go into this Yaapu directory, and you're going to go ahead and run this gmap catcher. This is what we're going to use to get the area of our flying location and download the tiles that we're going to be uploading onto the jumper T16 or Horus radio. So go ahead and run it, and make sure you've installed it previously. You need to run the installer. I created a shortcut there. So once you install it, it'll ask you if you want a shortcut. You go ahead and leave the check mark and you can run it. So let's just say, for example, we're going to be flying in Denver, Colorado. Denver, Colorado. And we're going to want to uncheck offline, and you want to bring this down to 0. Well, first of all, let's find a location. Let's say we're going to fly over this reservoir here. Let's say we're starting at this parking lot, and we're going to be flying all over here. Go ahead and put this to make sure this is 0. And the reason for that is I'm going to show you a little bit of the documentation, and you can read up on this more if you'd like, because it gives a really good example of what these numbers and values mean. So if you want more information, please read this documentation. It'll tell you exactly what the different zoom levels are and what you might need for your application. You can also do kind of like some drag and click to get more areas of a map. And anyway, there's going to be use cases for everyone, and it's going to be different. So go ahead and read through a little bit of this documentation. So what you're going to want to do is right click, batch download,
And then go ahead and set this to -2, and max, go ahead and set that to 0, and download. Once that's done downloading, that's all you need to do here. You can exit out of both of them, and that will have downloaded into your user's location here. Let's see. It's going to be under users, the name of your user, and this .gmap catcher. So you're going to go in there, and you're going to want to go to the SAT tiles. And in here, this is where those tiles were downloaded. So you're going to want to open up another file explorer. And this is where the temp directory comes into play. So you remember we created a Yaapu directory at the very beginning with all the files, and I had you create this temp directory. This is where that's going to come in handy. So go ahead and go into the temp directory. And here, you're going to want to copy over 0, 1, and 2. And once those files are there, the next step begins. And that's where you're going to resize these into, I think the documentation said something like 100 by 100. Let's go ahead and look at that. Yes, so now the download tiles need to be resized to 100 by 100. So again, you can find more information here in the documentation. So let's go ahead and continue. What you need is you need to go into this Horse widget maps, SD scripts, Yaapu maps. This make tiles right here. You're going to want to copy it and paste it in this temp directory. And then we're going to want to edit it. Where is my edit? There it is. While doing this, you might have a pop-up saying, do you really want to edit this file or something like that? You can continue or press OK. I can't remember exactly. That might happen. Don't worry, this file is safe. Go ahead and open it up, and don't be scared. It's a little code, but that's okay. You guys can figure it out. Trust me, it's not that hard. The only thing we need to change is this line right here. Make sure you leave the double quotes, but we're going to completely change that line. And what are we going to change it to? Well, we need to give it the path to this Imagine Magic. All right, and inside of here, there's going to be this executable. So if you haven't already, make sure you have downloaded that like I suggested at the beginning, and extract all the files, and then go in here and you're going to want to copy this path and leave the magic.exe and just replace this part right here. Beautiful. Looks like it got rid of that /, so we're going to want to add that back in. And that is what it should look like. Once you're done here, you need to make sure you save it, and you can exit. Now, it's time to run it. Running this is going to do the resizing, and it can take a little bit of time. I've put a timer up so we can see exactly how long it took mine, but it's going to be different for everybody depending on the area, the size of the tiles you downloaded, all that kind of good stuff. Now we got to run it, so let's run it. Okay, so just to note, that does take a little bit of time, about 10, 11 minutes, plus the 30 seconds it took me to get this up and running. I thought it'd be a good idea to time it because in his documentation it does note that it can take some time. And this is going to vary depending on the area that you have picked, how big the maps are that you have decided to resize, and so on and so forth. Okay, now that the script has ran successfully on these files, we're going to go ahead and move them over to our radio. Go ahead and connect your radio. Okay, so we got our jumper T16 connected, and we're going to go to the USB drive again. And inside of scripts, Yaapu, maps, sat tiles, you got the 0, -1, -2. These were the defaulted ones, so we're going to go ahead and just delete these. Okay, once they're deleted, go ahead and copy over all 3 of these files. Okay, there they all are. Okay, from here you're going to want to disconnect your radio and then power cycle it. Alright guys, so now that we've got everything moved on to the jumper T16, we are ready to power it up and get these maps working.
Welcome to OpenTX.
So the first thing I'm going to do, obviously we have our widget all set up. Let's go into the model and page over to your telemetry. Now here's where all your telemetry values are going to come in, and your GPS values are going to come in right here. I'm going to go ahead and cover up all my GPS coordinates, but this is where it will be coming in, so I will show you that now. Let's go ahead and turn on my drone. Alright, you can go ahead and see that my GPS coordinates, they're displayed, and also, I have other types of telemetry on here. But now that the GPS coordinates are there, we should be able to just go into that widget, and the map, because we've downloaded this area, is going to just display. Alright, while we're still in the sensor area of our setup and telemetry, I just want to point out one thing, and that is the direction of your model is going to be stagnant. It's not going to actually move around like the triangle unless you have this HDG set up, this telemetry sensor set up. If you don't have that telemetry coming in, you're not going to have your triangle moving in, north, south, east, and west. So that's something to note. Again, you can add more features to this, but I am focusing just on the mapping for now. So let's go ahead and back out of our sensors. And from here, what I want to show you is the different zoom levels. So right now it's hard to see up in the top left corner just because of the picture, but I'm on zoom level -2. And we have 3 different zoom levels you can configure here. So what you need to do is hold down System, and I'm going to set up a switch on my radio to change between the different zooms. And before I go into System, I'm going to go ahead and go into Model and just show you how I set the switch up. And if we go over to my mixes, get rid of that. Down here, you can see I set up my zoom on channel 6. So I set up this switch here to be able to switch between the different zoom levels. And all I did was just add, I named it zoom, and then I just source, you can toggle and it will automatically assign. If you toggle something different, it will switch, but I used this one here. And so it automatically puts it into place. And that's all I did for that. It was really, really simple, obviously. You guys have probably done things like that before. So map any channel you want to be your zoom, and then you're going to want to hold System. And here, you're going to be able to run this Yaapu Maps Lua script, and this will open up the configuration files. You need to be running the newer version of OpenTX to be able to just hold down System and execute this script. If you're running an older version, you need to page over to the SD card and navigate the SD card contents, which you go under Scripts, Yaapu, and then you would, execute it like that, and then it'd pull up. But in my case, I'm running the newer version, and I can just execute Yaapu Maps, and it pulls it up really simply. And what we do is we set that map zoom channel. We're going to set that to channel 6.
just like that. And then when we return out, hold, return. And so now, with this top switch, I can zoom out and zoom in. And this is the little triangle I was talking about. Obviously, that's the position of your model. It's going to continue to stay in that direction without the other sensor having been detected. So you can see it's working beautifully. I don't have any other telemetry set up right now, but you can set up the other telemetry. This is just the mapping feature, and I suggest you guys to stay tuned, because I will be coming out with another video where I will be flying this and showing you how it works. But this is awesome. You can get this working, supposedly. Obviously I haven't tried it with the Crossfire, but it is supposed to be able to work with Crossfire and everything else. It works with Betaflight, and you can even use iNav as well. There's just so many options and possibilities with this. So I hope you guys are all excited. I'm really excited for it myself. Go ahead and drop a like if you like this video, if it helped you out. Also, make sure to subscribe, and please be sure to comment, ask questions if you need help. There is, the GitHub is very much readily maintained. You could ask questions on there, but there's also forums that you can ask questions and get help. I'm going to leave links in the description of this video to all that kind of information. So be sure to check all that out so you can get more information about how all this works. And happy flying, guys. Go out there and have a good time.